We would like to have less kusala, more kusala, but that is not the approach taught by the Buddha. As Ajahn explains, it's all about understanding the true nature of anything that appears at the present moment. And that is the best basis for developing kusala of all kinds in daily life.
Dạ, đúng là những cái ý niệm về ngã thì nó vẫn mong muốn những thứ tốt đẹp cho bản thân. Nên là cũng là những cái pháp do duyên, nhưng mà thực ra ở thời điểm đấy thì lại được dẫn dắt bởi vô minh rồi ạ. Con cũng nhận ra điều này khi bác John nói ạ.
So when I hear you speaking, I realize that the idea of self always wants something for oneself, something good for oneself. But at that moment, avijja is already there.
And that is why we need the reminders that come when we have occasions like this, able to discuss the Dhamma with Ajahn and other friends. Everyone contributes and everyone benefits. And this is the best condition for developing more kusala of all kinds in life.
So what you said is quite correct. The self always wants more good for the self. Avijja is there at those moments, and it can be now. But understanding this, understanding the clinging to self, even at these moments, at those moments there is guarding, because there is understanding, even if it's just intellectual, right understanding, guarding at those moments. Not trying to do anything, not wishing for anything, but just understanding the nature of clinging to self. And this is how the understanding with guarding, with sati, develops naturally, by understanding and being aware of what appears even now, instead of dreaming and fantasizing about how we would like it to be or wishing for more kusala.
And I appreciate your interest in the Dhamma, and thank you for bringing up this question, which is of interest to everyone here.
So when Ajahn asked you for one word, you could say sati, because it is sati that has
muốn nói
the...
thêm gì về chủ đề này không ạ?
Shall I carry on? When Ajahn asked for one word, you could say sati, because it's sati that has the function of guarding. So you could say you would like to discuss more or ask for her further comments on sati guarding now or any time.
Dạ, vâng ạ. Nếu mà niệm thì nó sinh khởi ở những cái khoảng khắc thông thường của thiện pháp, thì nó lại không được, có khi lại không được dẫn dắt bởi trí, chỉ là khoảng khắc thiện nghiệp nó sinh khởi thông thường, như là hướng đến sự lợi ích của chúng sinh khác, nhưng mà nó không được soi sáng bởi ánh sáng của trí. Còn niệm mà được soi sáng bởi ánh sáng của trí thì nó sẽ suy xét cái đặc tính của pháp. Ví dụ như là khi mà nghĩ đến lợi ích của chúng sinh khác thì cũng chỉ là một cái khoảng khắc của tâm, chứ nó không phải của một con người hay là của tôi. Thì như vậy thì vẫn phải được nghe, được hiểu về những cái khoảnh khắc của các pháp sinh khởi. Mỗi khoảnh khắc ở một thời điểm thì nó mới vun bồi được cái chánh niệm ạ.
She said that sati, which arises at ordinary moments without understanding, although it guards the senses, but when it arises with understanding, with panya, there can be the understanding that it is just a Dhamma and not anyone. So we need to hear the explanations about the Dhamma so that it's not taking for itself many things.
Yes, this is true. Without understanding, it's not understood as a Dharma, not understood as a conditioned reality, not belonging to oneself. So this is why understanding is most important. And without understanding, how can it be known when there is kusala or when there is guarding, even intellectually? The clinging to having more goodness, for example, will be taken for kusala if there's no understanding. So only with understanding can anything be known at all. And the understanding has to develop on and on. Who knows at this very moment whether there is any awareness, any guarding or not? Without understanding, nothing is known.
Yes, actually, the question reminds me of the commentary that we just read together some days ago, some time ago. The commentary to the Sabbasawa Sutta, or the asavas, and in that sutta, it is said that asavas can be eradicated. There are different asavas to be eradicated by different things. So some friends suggested that because in the sutta it mentioned that the guarding of the senses or the restraint or things like that can also eradicate asavas. But then we read in the commentary, and it explains very well about the meaning of each. So we found that very interesting, and especially about the guarding of the senses. I remember it says that the guarding of the senses doesn't happen at the moment of seeing or hearing. Seeing, there's no guarding. Seeing or hearing. It's very significant.
Because those are just moments of vipaka. So the aim is not to stop seeing or stop hearing. The aim is to develop understanding, which understands dhammas as they are, so that gradually, naturally, there is less clinging, more awareness, more guarding, but not by trying to stop experiencing objects through the sense doors. This is not the right path. It's all the idea of I.
And I think we also need to appreciate that not only is the aim not to stop seeing, it's also not the aim actually to stop agusala. The aim is to develop more understanding. And it's the understanding that will eventually eradicate the agusala. So the understanding comes first, and the lessening of the agusala follows the development of understanding. Somehow we have the idea that the other way around, that if there was less agusala, there'd be more understanding. But that's not the teaching of the Buddha. The Buddha's teaching is understand what is appearing now. Develop that understanding. That is the path. The path leads to the eradication of agusala. But more importantly, of course, to the cessation of dukkha.
Thank you, Ajahn Joan Stella. Dạ, cho con xin hỏi nhà mình có ai muốn đặt câu hỏi nào khác không ạ? Anh Giao ạ. Mời anh Giao.
Con
mời cô Như Hòa, cho cô Như Hòa trước, xong rồi anh Giao lát nữa. Dạ. Cô Như Hòa.
con có câu hỏi nữa là con có suy nghĩ là giá trị của bậc thiện trí là chấn chỉnh tri kiến và kể cả soi sáng những lỗi lầm được nhận ra trong đời sống, bởi vì giáo pháp chính là hiểu hơn về đời sống. Thì con suy nghĩ như vậy. Xin các ngài chỉ dạy thêm để mỗi ngày được hiểu hơn ạ, hiểu đúng hơn ạ.
Là soi sáng những sai lầm trong đời sống ạ. Có phải cô nói vậy đúng không ạ? So she said that the value of a wise friend is to help one straighten the view, correct the wrong view, but also to see through the mistakes of life. That is her understanding, and she'd like you to comment on this.
Sorry, what was the second thing? I didn't quite catch
The
it.
mistakes in life.
What
So
about
I'm
it?
not
To what?
Shall I ask her about what she means by mistakes in life?
Not really. What was the word you used before that?
The straightening of the view.
Yes, and then?
And see through.
Oh, see through. Right. Yeah. Thank you. Well, the value of the good friend is to help in a number of ways at different levels. So the greatest help is, of course, the straightening of views. The good friend will also help in other ways. The good friend won't encourage agusala, for example. But in terms of the development of the path, that is the greatest help, the greatest assistance the good friend can give. And in fact, it is a prerequisite to the development of the path to have the assistance of a good friend in that regard. But we need to bear in mind that the good friend is the person, for example, whose words help our understanding of the Dhamma. at any moment and for that moment. So it could be anyone at any time. It's not just an individual who is the good friend. It is an occasion when the sharing of Dhamma by another helps our understanding of the Dhamma. So, for example, in a group like this, we are often good friends to each other at different times. Was there any other aspect of the good friend that you would like some comment on?
Là con muốn hỏi là dĩ nhiên là chắc là cái ước muốn vẫn là cái thiện lành, nhưng mà bởi vì bậc thiện bạn hữu thì có thể nhìn thấy cái lỗi lầm như là một lỗi lầm, và nhiều khi thì cái tích lũy của mình không nhận ra, nhưng người thiện bạn hữu thì lại nhận ra những cái tích lũy ấy là xấu, là bất thiện, là không tốt, và giúp cho chúng ta nhận ra. Như vậy thì có phải đúng cái chánh lý không ạ?
State. I think that that the good friends can see the wrong things in us, the bad accumulation. Sometimes we cannot see it ourselves, but a good friend can see that and help us to see that. Is that the right understanding?
I think I may have read that the good friend admonishes us when we go wrong. So the good friend doesn't condone our wrong speech, for example, or our wrong actions. The good friend would point out that those are things those are things to be avoided if possible. So yes, that's, I think, similar to what you are saying.
And the good friend points out that these are dhammas. They're not in me or in the other. They're just dhammas that arise and gone. Kusala, akusala, avyakata dhammas arising by conditions and gone instantly. So the good friend helps one to see the importance of developing understanding. And like we just said with the guarding, the understanding, the awareness require a lot of patience to listen again and again and see the value of wise considering and to understand the dhammas as anatta. And as as Tam mentioned that you were reading the commentary to the Sabasava Sutta, I remember it mentions that it's not the subject of attention that is of greatest importance, but the kind of attention. So you mentioned about opening a paper. One may talk about kings and queens, but is it with wise attention or unwise attention? So it's not a matter of saying no more guitar playing, no more opening the paper, no more discussion of politics or kings or queens. But what about the understanding right now, no matter the subject, the situation, the circumstances? So the good friend points out that no matter the circumstances, there are just dhammas, which are anatta. It's not my akusala or anyone else's.
And if we are thinking about being a good friend to another, is also the matter of knowing the right time, place, and or the right occasion and the right words to say. It's not always easy to know how to point out another person's faults. So on our part, if someone does point out our faults, then is one accepting of that, or does one react and resist the advice given? That would be conceit that conditions that kind of reaction.
Can so add some comments. Are you speaking, Achan?
Yes. Are we now talking about good friend?
Yes.
Good friend in what way?
Dạ. Chỉ ra những tri kiến sai lầm và chỉ ra những cái lỗi lầm trong đời sống ạ.
So good friend help us to show views.
So, can avijja be good friend? Ignorance, is it good friend?
Không ạ.
So, what is the real good friend?
Là giúp cho hiểu rõ về sự thật.
Without the understanding of Dhamma, can you be good friend in Dhamma to the others?
Dạ không ạ.
Cannot, Achan.
We're talking about good friend in Dhamma. So if that person has no understanding, but have wrong understanding, can that person be good friend? As
Không thể
Loka
ạ.
is their enemy, not good friend at all. So Panya is good friend. Panya doesn't bring any unwholesome result or harmful result at all. Is that right? From not understanding
Vâng ạ.
anything, any truth of what is there now, the blessing, the 38 blessings begin from understanding of what is there by good friend who understand that, and on and on and on develop all kinds of kusala as parami. No matter what Buddha taught about, it has to be conditioned to be good and understand the truth. Is that right? That is a good friend. Until realizing the truth, the Four Noble Truth, with a good friend as Buddha, who can have such understanding. So who's the best good friend. See, the highest one
Dạ,
is the
Đức
Buddha
Phật.
himself.
Đó là Đức
The
Phật đã
is Buddha, Ajahn.
Yeah, that's why listen to good friend, because without hearing the truth, how can there be the understanding of what is there any moment in life from birth to death and birth again and death again, on and on and on. So it's not just listening without considering what we are talking about. It's what is there now, every moment. But understanding is not enough, because just few words like Dhamma, Anatta, and so on, not enough to understand the truth of what can that be, Anatta or Dhamma, because we used to take it for something all the time. The word of Atta, it's there any moment. That's why good friend understand the truth and help the others to have right understanding, to get out of samsara, out of the very deep hell of ignorance, very dark, so dark. There can never be any understanding of what is there as it is at all in one's life and from life to life without the word of good friend. Is that enough to know who's good friend? Any word of truth from anyone is so true. Good friend at that moment, not give something wrong and not true to anyone at all. Any time of helping the other to understand the truth of what is there now, is that good friend? So the deep meaning of good friend is not just be friend, help you to do this or that, to gain such and such you'd like to have, and so on. But the best of all is understanding the truth. And if no one understands at all, how can it keep on? No one knows what is the truth of each moment. So now, when we talk about just one reality, never enough until it appears well, as we have heard. For example, we heard the word sati. Is it enough? What is it? Is it there now? Or what moment is sati? And what conditions sati to arise? And sati can be of different degrees or levels too. Daily life. Is there any moment of sati? What moment sati is there? And what moment sati is not there? It doesn't arise in such and such moment. At moment of attachment or like something, no sati. See, we just talk about sati, that it's a kind of a reality which has its function. Usually, no one used to think about what is heard now as no one. See, because even the word no one, what is it? Because no one doesn't give any understanding. Just no one. Why it's not anyone? Why it's not something? And at that moment, without sati, can it be the moment of considering the truth, not just thinking about football or games or whatever, or friends or going somewhere, the resort and so on? That's why we have to understand what is it. Life is different by different conditions. When there's no sati, the behavior of life is just as it is there in daily life, more than the other moment. Attachment or many stories about atta, all are atta, not just the reality which is conditioned to arise and fall away instantly, unknowingly all the time. So learn to understand the truth of one reality at a time, to understand that it cannot be known at all without hearing, considering carefully, wisely, to understand what is the ultimate truth of what we are talking about. Sati cannot be rupa, sati cannot be lopa, sati cannot be panya. That's why we learn to understand a little more, to wash away little by little the word of atta. Before there can never be the word of atta, gradually, little by little. So be truthful to the truth, to what is there now, whether it's there is sati or not. It's impossible to attend to the what we say sati without any understanding of what it is. No understanding of sati, and someone say, have sati. How can it be sati when there's no understanding of sati? That's why sati does not arise with akusala. See, its function is guarding akusala, not to be close or not to be there. See, not just sati, but sati cannot be akusala, cannot be other reality, cannot be panya at all, cannot be sattha, cannot be viriya. That's why learn to let go what is taken for this or that, but in truth it's gone. And since it's there once, experience or arises and performs a function, it is accumulated from moment to moment to have more and more of that moment. Understanding now can condition more understanding later. But if there's no understanding right now at all, how can there be that level of understanding? So never enough to listen carefully, more and more wisely, to understand the truth, that even understanding the difference between satta and sati and the other wholesome factors, cetasikas, it has to be known little by little, to let go that which is not known as I, atta. So very gradually, the truth can be known in daily life. What moment is moment of sati and what moment is not moment of sati. Because understanding what sati is, what that moment is, when it is attachment, aversion, there's no sati. So it is anger, dosa or loba or moha or mana or wrong understanding. Begin to understand sati in daily life and understand that as it does not appear as it is, it's just an understanding of that which is there, just theory or conventionally, but it's there gone without anyone understand the nimitta of sati. See? That's why listen to each word of the Buddha, considering more and more careful, more and more understanding of that which is so subtle. The more understanding it's there, it's the more understanding of the subtlety of what is there now. And that is the only way to let go, cling to it, because it's beyond anyone's can make it arise at all. Every moment is conditioned by not just the clothes or the condition which we learn to know, but there are more than that. not just one condition. See, for example, the Chakku Pasata is not that which sees different conditions, different reality, and Sati is there listening, considering to understand the truth a little more. And understanding works its way. All kinds of Dhamma works its way. That's why in life, sometimes there can be moments of going to say something and then not saying it because of what? It's not proper, it's not good, it's not nice, it's not helpful. See? And what perform that function of not just big akusala through words and speech. Many different levels of Dhamma in daily life, and most of the day, avijja and loba, the second truth of the noble truth. And it's sati which guards the moment of not have lopa and moha at moment of wise considering. Even it's considering wisely, it's not right understanding. But without it, as very close condition, right understanding cannot arise. Just hear, just listen, not enough careful considering, just remember the word, that's all, the number and so on. It's not the way to let go the word of atta, because it's atta all the way, remembering and just thinking, not understanding that what is there now has to be realized. Otherwise, it is something. The idea of something, the idea of atta has to be letting go gradually at moment of understanding of what is there, one by one, little by little. And that is the only way, the Eightfold Path, which is so very subtle, because it has to be now, when it's not now yet, because not conditioned enough to understand right now, but it can develop until it's there by condition, unexpectedly understand the manners of anatta. It's there so great by conditions. No doubt about Sariputta, listen to Asaji, understanding the truth at level of Sotapanna, and the understanding of Sotapanna cannot be the same. All depends on conditions, as Sariputta, as Mokkhanlana, as Kassapa, see. All are sati arising with wholesome moments, every stage, considering, understanding, being aware, or right understanding is sharp enough to understand what is there right now as usual, but it's so very deep and very subtle. Is there sati? And without sati, can there be panya? And without panya, can there be sati? Anya manya pachaya. And anya manya pachaya is not just the word, it has its meaning too. Not just the word or the translation, but the truth of it right now.
Không biết là cô Hòa còn muốn thêm gì về cái câu hỏi này nữa không ạ? Chủ đề này nữa không? Nếu cô không có gì hỏi thêm thì xin mời anh Giao đặt câu hỏi của anh.
Cô Hòa cứ nói biểu tiếp, tại vì thực ra Gia cũng chỉ có một cái ý nhỏ trong cái chuyện này thôi, nếu cô
Dạ
không có
vâng ạ.
sợ. Vâng, cô Hòa cứ không có gì thì Giao ý kiến.
Cô Hòa vừa nãy định nói đúng không ạ?
So for anyone not familiar, are they familiar with Anyamanya Pachya, Tam? This is mutuality
I
condition.
translate the term, but I think it's good that you can give them what is the meaning.
So when it is Anyamanya Pachya, it means that the conditioning and the conditioned state actually condition each other. So for example, at this moment of seeing, the seeing and the Chaitasikas, they all condition each other. It is the reciprocal conditioning or mutuality. If we talk about the rupas, the four Mahabhuta rupas, the four great elements, condition the dependent rupas, but they don't condition the four great elements. So we cannot say that it is Anyamanya Pachya, because the four great elements condition each other in this way by Anyamanya Pachya, but the other rupas conditioned by them are not conditioning in a reciprocal manner, but the Chitta and Chaitasikas arising together, they arise by Sahajata Pachya, arising together, and by Anyamanya Pachya, mutually conditioning each other.
As I understand it, when two or more things are related by this condition, they depend on each other and they support each other. So there's both the support and the dependency relationship between the things that are related by this condition. So I suppose a classic example would be the two sheaves of wheat that are mentioned in another sutta. They rest against each other, and each needs the other in order to stand. And each helps the other to stand.
And is sati there at moment of understanding?
Usually not, just
Có ạ.
knowledge.
At moment of
For understanding,
moment,
sati
yes.
must be there, yes.
If it's true understanding, yes.
So begin to have a little more understanding of sati. It guards at that moment not to have the kusala come in or get closer at all.
They condition each other. They are essential for the arising of each other. And the same with right concentration, right effort. All these factors arise together and condition each other at those moments. Understanding cannot arise without the support of these other factors. Sati cannot arise without the support of the right effort and concentration. But at moments of kusala, when there's no understanding, then sati arises without understanding. But
But
for understanding, sati must be there, guarding.
so only what are there together is and support each other is anyamanya paccaya. Chitta and Cetasika, which arises together at that very moment. Good friend.
Con thấy cô Hòa định nói gì từ nãy đúng không ạ? Con mời cô.
Lên mưa to quá không nghe được ạ. Ở đây đang bị mưa to ạ.
Dạ.
Mất
Thì chắc sẽ
mất tiếng ồn quá.
Dạ vâng.
Can hear that.
So at the moment there is big rain at the place where the sister is, so she cannot hear much. And I think Mr. Zhao has a question, so please go ahead, Mr. Zhao. Dạ mời anh Zhao ạ.
Yes. Back to the first topics about protection of the sense doors. I really appreciate the question come from Sita. So that's why I heard about the teaching from Achan and you, and it's really helpful to me. And I would like to say I'm very gratitude to your teaching. And as I understanding, the key is understanding and the understanding is very little. And be truthful to the truth about how little understanding we know. That's why you said almost thinking in daily life is unwholesome and not exactly the question, just a little bit comment. I suddenly thought about the four right at first when I heard about the protection of the sense door. I think a little bit similar. So, Kun Jonathan, can you point out the mistake of my comment? Thank you.
Yes, in what way similar?
So when we protect the sender, like I think the example come from Kun Sister Như Hoa is okay for when she like to enjoy a clip or something on the YouTube. So and for the four right efforts, for example, the first of four right efforts is restraint samvara. So avoiding and pretending the arising of unwholesome. So I think it's similar.
Well, let's deal with that last statement of yours, that the first of the four right efforts is preventing the arising of akusala. What is being described there is the function that is performed by right effort in a certain situation. So when right effort arises, it performs one of those four functions. So it's not a case of us using right effort to prevent the arising of akusala. It's the case of right effort, if it arises, having that function. And likewise, in the case of maintaining arisen kusala, it's not the case that we can maintain arisen kusala by having right effort. What is the case is that if right effort does arise in that situation, it helps to maintain arisen kusala. Because these are non-personal, impersonal dhammas. They are elements. They are not under the control or influence of any person. They arise purely by conditions. So when we read the description of the four right efforts, even though it speaks in terms of the monk who does this or that, that is conventional language, which is referring to the functioning of conditioned dhammas. So right effort just performs its function if and when it arises. It doesn't matter which function it performs. We don't have to identify, oh, this is right effort. It's now maintaining arisen kusala or something like that. It performs its function unknown to us because probably the right effort is not going to appear to be known by awareness and understanding at our stage of development of understanding. So we learn this information just to have the correct, right conceptual knowledge of how dhammas work and how life is just the arising of different dhammas by conditions, not being controlled or even influenced by the individual, by the stream of jittas in which they arise. Does that
Thank you.
help to answer your question?
Yes, I like it. And a little bit more. Can I set the four efforts in a higher level of parijati? I mean the international understanding, the level of understanding.
Right effort can arise if there are conditions for it. It does not need an understanding of the Dhamma in order to arise. A person who has never heard the Dhamma can have right effort for different kinds of kusala.
But not
you,
right
Joe.
effort of the path.
Yes, that's all. Thank you.
And the main point is that the effort is anatta. So no one can make any effort. When it's a moment of kusala, at that moment, the virya is kusala. There is guarding from akusala. There is the development of kusala not yet developed, but conditioned by that right effort naturally, like now, moments of wise considering. There is right effort. There is sati at those moments, performing their tasks just for a moment and then gone. So they all develop naturally, no one doing anything, not a special situation, not refusing to pick up your guitar or the paper, but it's always the present moment. Whatever arises is by conditions. If there are conditions to pick up the guitar, it's conditioned already, those many, many moments, the thinking, the actions, the rupas, all conditioned. There can be right effort, sati, any moment at all, conditioned by the wise considering and understanding. The very important point is the letting go of the idea of I doing anything, I guarding, I making an effort, I protecting the sense doors, because that's all the wrong path, very strong wrong path at those moments.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
There's just 1 minute left. I don't know if Achan would like to say a few words before we finish the session.
When we use the word right effort, what do we mean? The right effort of the Eightfold Path, or what? Or kusala, at the level of listening, considering, understanding, without awareness of the reality, which is there right now. Many, many levels of all kinds of Dhamma, even effort, even understanding, even sati. See, that's why we learn about reality as even it's one reality, one characteristic, one function, but different degrees. So we have to be precise what kind of effort we are talking about. Without understanding, right understanding, samadhi of what is now appearing, can there be right effort?
Kusala effort, but not right effort of the path.
Okay, thank you so much, Achan and John and Sarah. And continue next week.
Sadhika, everyone.
Sawadee-khap, Tanajan. Sawadee-khap.
Anumotana.
Thank you.
Anumotana to your teachings of the Dhamma in Cambodia, Achan.
Yes,
I wish to
Anumotana,
say the
Ajahn.
same to Anumodana Ajahn. I'm sure it was very beneficial to everyone, and we all appreciate the great kusala to go and to share the Dhamma there.
And I appreciate very much of your kusala.
Thank you, Achan.
And soon it will be Hanoi's turn.